It's about time that they made changes. Since we've been in this parish and met Monica, our views have been more open about the church than ever the way we were brought up. I think we've definitely got to move into this century, definitely.
Yeah.
Now the 100% question, will we ever get a woman pope?
Not this century then.
I'm talking about a woman pope. I mean, Mrs Thatcher is a woman prime minister, but like a woman pope, like Mrs Thatcher. God help us all.
We've even got women footballers now, haven't we?
I expect there's always been an underground movement within the church for years over these things, but it never comes to the forefront, does it?
No.
And from our experience, I think I speak for Vin as well as myself, Monica's done more in this parish than Father has.
I'm sure people like Monica would continue to do the good work that she's doing, regardless of any sort of decision on whether women were to be allowed in the priesthood or not. So if women do have this calling, I think it's accommodating that calling into the church. If that calling calls you into conflict with the whole Catholic Church and the Pope, I think you'd have to consider exactly what your calling is.
When the Church of England began ordaining women in 1994, I began to think about joining Cynthia there and training for the priesthood. This is what I was saying earlier, you see, that we have no way even of testing vocations. It is clear I could simply be delusional, but I believe that I have a vocation to priesthood. But nobody has ever sat me down and is willing even to test the vocation to see whether it's genuine or not, because it's not an issue we can even discuss. Yeah? But the reality is that, in the Church of England at least were willing to test their women.
I just pray that the next Pope, whoever he is going to be a more liberal-minded Pope who will allow women to exercise a fuller ministry and eventually ordination. And as Monica said, once the Pope says that we're going to ordain women, then that will be it. They won't have any of the struggle that we had. It'll just happen. But if that doesn't happen, then I hope that Monica and others like her will seek other means of fulfilling their ministry, maybe in another place.
I've thought it through and prayed it through and talked it through. And for better or for worse, I'm a Roman Catholic. And much as I am comfortable around the Church of England and have many friends who are around the Church of England, it's not quite home. If I'm a half-caste human being, I cast half a shadow. How's he being made to feel?
Like he's not wanted.
Yes. Right, so that's about rejection. I believe that what Christianity has to offer, the world needs, and our young people need. They ought to be able to find those values in the institutional church. And it saddens me that at the moment that is not always true. The church talks about equality and doesn't practice it. And young people particularly pick up on a level that kind of sense of hypocrisy. When I'm doing a topic on priesthood and ordination and religious life, kids in school say things like, hang on a miss, that priest down at St. Luke's, I said, you mean the vicar? Yes, the vicar. She's a lady, isn't she? Yes, she is. Why don't we have lady priests? Because the Pope says, and you go through the reasons that he gives. And then they look at you and they say, well, do you really believe that? And you say, well, I'm not sure.
Now that women are more prominent in the church, maybe we ought to be looking towards bringing more women in, into the clergy.
I think it's going to have to come. I think it's going to come.
We have to accept it.
Because some small children especially relate better to women than they do to men.
The Lord never said he would not accept a woman to administer sacraments or anything. There is women in this church, women only, that take the Holy Eucharist out to the sick.
Things just change, so surely the church must change with it. So Monica's the right-hand man, if you like.
She's got 17 children getting confirmed in this church on Friday night. That was a woman. and she's a good woman, and she could be a priest. She could, I believe Monica could be, do you agree with me? Monica could be a priest.
She could be a priest.
She is a very, very good woman.
A very good speaker, and when she talks to you, she's preaching anything from the pulpit. She does it in a way that you can understand it, and it comes to you, and you're mesmerised, actually mesmerised.
Here in the Sistine Chapel, the cardinals will cast their votes in the papal election.
The eyes of the world are much more on this conclave.
Staff say the preparations have been so intense, it'll be a short conclave.
The conclave to elect the new pope starts next
Although
Monday,
Cardinal
the 18th of April.
Ratzinger has issued a blanket ban on cardinals talking
I
to
don't
the press.
think that the position of the Pope is one to be envied.
On the other side, you've got Cardinal Martini of Milan.
The fragility of faith is directly the cause of the lack of vocations.
American, English, Polish, changes to the Roman Catholic Church.
I'm thoughtful here about the difficulty of finding a candidate acceptable both to the arch-conservatives and to the moderates.
But also coming from the chimney if there's no decision. White if a pope's been chosen.
Habemus Papam.
Well, we shall be live in Rome shortly, but first, the 1 billion Roman Catholics worldwide have a new Pope, Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger of Germany, regarded by many as a staunch conservative.
It's not a good night. It's not a good night. My hope was that it would have taken longer, and if he hadn't got it by tea time tonight, I think I would have begun to hope he wasn't going to get it. But when the smoke went up early, and was fairly certain it was him. He sees authority resting in the hands of the men of the church. And while he sees women as people to be treated with respect, he certainly doesn't see them having any stake in authority at any level. I can be an angry Catholic and a disappointed Catholic and a sickened Catholic. But I am what I am, and you know, teenagers can leave home and move out and declare that, you know, it's no longer my family, I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet, but the reality is that that's the blood that goes through your veins, and that's the genes that's in your makeup, and there is something of the Catholic Church at a depth in me that is something I can't walk away from. I'd already resigned myself to the fact that nothing was going to happen in my lifetime. That is very certain now. I will never live long enough, not merely not to celebrate the Eucharist. I will not now live long enough to see any other woman celebrate a Catholic Eucharist. And I need time to absorb that. After the Pope's election, business in the parish went on as usual. The kids at the primary school made their first communion. Our young people celebrated their confirmation. And I carried on doing the work I'm allowed to do in the parish.